Welcome to Weekday Somatics. I have two announcements. The first announcement is that today I have something scheduled in an hour, so we'll be ending promptly at just before the hour. And the second thing is that I'm sharing with you an intention that I am inviting anybody who is either here live or watching the recording of this to apply for a private program that I'm going to be beginning soon. So I don't have all of the details for that yet, and I haven't even put together the application yet, but it is a program for anybody who is ready to commit to a deeper day-to-day living of the freedom that we're all experiencing in these meetings, to learn how to carry that over into your waking life. The practices and techniques that I'll be sharing in that, the reason it's private and not public is because it's essential that I can provide support for people who are participating in that. So I will not be publishing those publicly. And anybody who's interested in applying, you can simply send me an email. It's joeylott@gmail.com, and use the word application as the subject line, just that single word, application, APPLICATION, so that I can find it. If you can't follow those instructions, I won't be able to find it. So if you can follow those instructions, I will find your application request, and then once I get the application form put together, I will send that to you. You may have other questions, and you can ask those at that time in the email. One other thing I can say, just to avoid a lot of unnecessary answering of the same question, is that I'm offering this program as a service to humanity. So I am not charging a fee for it. I am asking for I'll make a suggested donation amount of $100 a month, but I won't turn anybody away for inability to pay. I may explore that with you if you say that you don't have the ability to pay, or to make that donation, not for my sake, but for your sake. But I won't nobody will be turned away for a lack of ability to pay. What's important is your commitment and your calling. This is just for people who have an inner yes. If you have a yes, then it's a yes. And if you're uncertain, then you can get clear. And if you have a no, then if there's no interest, then that's great. If there's no interest, then there's no need. Okay, so let's begin by inhabiting a posture that we believe we can inhabit with confidence for the next little while. And this may seem like a unimportant step. I mean, hopefully you realize it's a very important step, but maybe sometimes it seems like an unimportant step. And so I want to clarify it for you so that you can really understand why this is essential. So as I often suggest, this is really at the heart about awareness. Awareness is the one power that is indestructible. Take a look and see the truth of that, and then you'll start to discover just how powerful that is. Because everything else comes and goes. Every other power comes and goes. So if we are seeking for other powers, then that's okay, but we need to recognize that those powers will come and go. Now, there are many ways in which to cultivate awareness of awareness. But the heart of it is exactly that. It's just awareness of awareness. Self-awareness. Who am I? And not to be prematurely distracted from that. So today we'll look at maybe some of the reasons why we become distracted. But first, let's get clear, or at least clearer, on why this is so important, why this is so attractive, why it's so essential, why nothing else will really truly satisfy us. And then we can start to really understand why taking this moment initially to set ourselves up for success by really consciously inhabiting a posture can be so valuable to us. So if we overlook this or we ignore this, then what we're doing is giving our attention and our energy to thought forms. We are energizing them. They're like, Well, these particular thought forms, I don't know that all thought forms are like this, but these particular thought forms, and it will be helpful to start to see it in this way, these particular thought forms are actually parasites. They feed off of our energy, but they do not serve us. They do not serve humanity. They do not serve our true intention. They are teachers, that much is true. So they can serve us when we recognize them as teachers. But the lesson is what we need to see, to recognize. So see how it is that if you ignore this or dismiss this or overlook it, or you refuse to be patient enough or restful enough to recognize this, then notice what you're doing instead. And what you are necessarily doing, if you're not truly receiving this, truly receiving your own silent self, truly surrendering to yourself, by being present to your experience, to your somatic experience, to this experience of this interface of consciousness, sensation, thought, memory. If you're not consciously giving your attention to this, then what you're doing is you're giving your attention to those things instead. And in particular, almost always, it's to these parasitic forms: anxiety, impatience, fear, worry, frustration, irritation, depression. Or holding back because of some self-judgment. I'm not worthy. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. So this first step, this preparatory step, is actually the whole process in its most refined state. This is the most advanced somatic practice. To be present to your experience and to surrender all of the strain, the effort. So we're wanting, what I'm wanting, my intention is choose a posture that supports you in receiving support, so that you can become buoyant, light, transparent, effortless, blissful, so that you can surrender all the way. Maybe at first, for many of us, that means we have to lie down or we have to recline. And then maybe over time, we find that our confidence grows, our capacities grow. So be open to whatever is appropriate now. Don't reference the past. Don't say to yourself, well, last week, this was what I was able to do, and so this week, this is what I'll be able to do. Or last week, this is what supported me. This week, it will be the same that supports me. We're exploring in this way to transform ourselves, to release our fixation on the past, to release our insistence upon limitation, and to tune into the present. The present has beyond any description. But we can try to point at it, describe it in some ways so that it's possible for others who haven't yet recognized it to begin to recognize it for themselves. So the present is always here. It is always free. It is beyond belief. It's untouched by anything, and it is the source of all that is. And it's here now. So the most advanced somatic practice is to simply remain present and continue to surrender everything that arises. If you're able to do that, then just do that. There's nothing that I could suggest that would be more helpful to you than that. It's the most fruitful in that it will rapidly release the habits of limitation, and it will gently open you to greater and greater awareness. At the same time, we need to be honest if we're daydreaming, fantasizing, drifting off. Or if we're starting to tense up, trying to endure because maybe we think we have something to prove. I can do it, I can get through it, I can manage for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, I can do it. But we want to be honest, because this is not about endurance, this is about liberation. We endure slavery. So we have to start to take a look if we're tired of that. If we're tired of the endurance, then we have to start to take a look at who is holding me in bondage? Who is doing that to me? And to get clear on who is doing that to me, the very simple process is let me surrender and release all that I'm doing to myself. Once I have surrendered and released all that I am doing to myself, what remains is what is being done to me. Then I can look for the source of that. I laugh because it is a little bit of a joke. It's serious at the same time, though. So this process is the most rapid process for liberation at all levels. Now let's look at some obstacles that can arise. One, and I think it's the most common and the most challenging obstacle for most people, is fear. Fundamentally, we hold a view of life and ourselves that is rooted in fear. And we can dress that up and we can suppress it and we can deny it and we can ignore it. We can lie about it. We can deceive ourselves. But if I hurt, then I'm afraid. If I'm impatient, I'm afraid. If I'm angry, I'm afraid. If I have a sense of lack, I'm afraid. So we're exploring surrender. We're surrendering what? We're surrendering every experience that arises. So we are setting ourselves up for success by sensing the support, knowing that we are well supported. Our body is supported for this moment. For this moment, we're safe. For this moment, it's okay. For this moment, we're not going to fall. For for this moment, we don't have to give any thought to anything in the external world. So we're doing our part. We're setting ourselves up for a successful inquiry, and now we can begin to look at this obstacle of fear. Because still, our attention goes to something, some thought, some memory, or simply drifts away. We don't know what happened. Or the sensations grow in intensity until we begin to squirm. We begin to fantasize, have negative fantasies about the meaning of the sensation, project it into the future, what it's going to do, what it's going to mean, how it's going to be bad. So you can see it's such a simple process, and yet it's extremely powerful because we can see more clearly now than we've ever seen. We can see all of, if you're really observant, you'll see that this is true. You can actually see all of creation, all of time and space. You can't see it in your mind. But you can see your mind. So we can start to recognize what is the actual nature of this fear. Now we can come at this from two directions, so we'll do that. One, we'll say, is from the outside in. So let's start there. Notice that there's a universal intelligence. We can call it natural law. We can call it anything. So don't think that it is just that. Maybe if it's more comfortable, we can call it Mother Nature. And we can observe, just observe now in your actual experience, observe how this universal intelligence operates perfectly. There was just one slip up, all of creation would disappear. But for all of this creation, billions of years, not a single slip up, everything functioning perfectly. the intelligence that shines the stars. And that same intelligence that shines the stars is that same intelligence that is shining in you. It is that same energy. All of the nerve impulses. It's the same intelligence. This same intelligence is both within you and seemingly outside of you. It responds to you instantly and perfectly. Wherever you go, it is moving within you and around you, instantly, perfectly conforming to every intention, every minute intention, even those that you aren't consciously aware of. And that same intelligence is a live presence. And there may be a cynical voice that says, I'm not so sure. But there's a deeper recognition that knows the truth of it. That deeper recognition in your darkest moments. You've known that there was a presence. Someone or something that responds, that is aware, that is present, that knows, that receives your prayers. And it does not have any malicious intent whatsoever. Its nature is unconditional love. Totally unconditional. Whatever your intention is, it conforms to that perfectly. So then we can start to perhaps recognize that if we are intending a hostile universe, then it conforms to that. Not because that's its nature, but because its nature is to conform to our intention unconditionally. So we begin to create a universe of fear populated by all of these forms that we have created and that we feed. It's not your anxiety, it's anxiety. You just feed it, along with millions of other people. It's not your fear. You feed fear, along with millions of other people. But let's start to recognize that all possibilities exist within us, and that this loving presence conforms instantly, delivers to us instantly what we intend. So let us begin now to intend safety. Let us begin to recognize that fear is something that we have fed, but it has no independent reality. It does not exist when we cease to feed it. Because we are co-creators, there are billions of other humans on this planet feeding fear. When we cease to feed fear, that doesn't mean that it instantly ceases to be a reality for most people. It does not mean that instantly our habits dissolve, but it does mean that we're being truthful. So we can recognize within ourselves how we feed fear, how we give our energy to fear. Every time we contract, flinch, every time we lash out, every time we armor ourselves, we're feeding fear. But we can stop doing that right now. We can take a powerful stand right now, committing to peace. I commit to peace. I commit to peace today. That could be our most powerful prayer, to pray that every day. First thing, today, I commit to peace. And then the second half of the prayer is, I don't yet know fully all that that entails, and so I surrender my ideas, my struggles, my confusion, and trust and know that this loving intelligence is responding instantly and perfectly to my intention. Here we must have faith that is true, because we will be tested. We'll be tested because, not because there's any malicious external force that wants to test us, rather because we don't yet fully understand the truth and reality of unconditional love, what that really is, what it really, really signifies, just how magnificent that is. So our job is to pray in this way, and then to trust that that is fulfilled, so that whatever arises is an answer to that prayer. Now our only job is to surrender. So whatever arises is arising in us. So our reactivity, our habits, And we can surrender them into this fire of transformation that releases our stuck, contracted habits into their purest form, the most purified form, pure energy. Which is now liberated so that it can begin to actually take shape according to our prayer, our intention. True peace, true freedom, true happiness, true fulfillment. We have to accept that that prayer is being fulfilled. That's why the what if technique. What if what is already happening now is already the answer to my prayer, already the fulfillment of my true desire, already peace, already freedom, already happiness. It's a very, very powerful technique because it helps us to keep true to that prayer, the prayer from our heart. Otherwise, we abandon ourselves. And then what do? We feed fear. So perhaps you can see just how simple it is. If I have any sense of myself, any sense of being something or someone, if I have any sense of any direction or any intention whatsoever, then I am feeding something. I am directing this energy, this pure, unbound formlessness into some kind of form. Out of habit, I will be feeding fear, creating fear, manifesting fear. Which is why taking a stand, making a commitment is so powerful, because then I'm holding myself to that truth. This one presence, this intelligence has been with you every moment of your life. It's the intelligence that sees through your eyes. It's the intelligence that feels. It's the intelligence that recognizes. It's the intelligence that listens. It's the intelligence that's hearing your own thoughts. It's aware of your thoughts. It's aware of everything. It's aware of everything that you're aware of. Because you are that awareness. You can't hide from it. Nothing is hidden from it. All your secrets are known to it. Isn't that true? It knows all your secrets because you are it. You know all your secrets. You just thought that you were some separate body, some separate mind, some separate thing. One intelligence, one awareness, one power. Its nature is to forgive, to release. That's your nature too. Align your conscious recognition of yourself with that true nature. Let it be very light, very gentle. Just recognize that that is your nature. The hardness, the stuckness, all of that is not your true nature. All of that is coming and going. It's a falseness that never was the truth of who you are. Your actual nature is this one awareness, one intelligence. All your thoughts come and go in this. All your memories come and go in this. All your opinions come and go in this. All your sensations come and go in this. Everything comes and goes in this. And you have this power to create. If you perceive yourself as a victim of circumstance, a victim of some external God, a victim of society, a victim of your feelings, a victim of your emotions, a victim of your thoughts, a victim of whatever, then you're going unconscious. You're turning away from your responsibility to yourself to honor your true desire. Your true desire is not for pain, so cease creating it. Take a stand. And then trust that everything that arises from this point forward, this stand is really important. It's very powerful. Everything that arises from now on, know, trust, remember that everything that arises is an answer to your prayer. It's exposing the lies that you've believed to be true. Don't run away from it. Don't feed the fear. Know that you are safe. The truth of who you are is safe. No matter what happens, there is no power in this universe that can harm you. No power in the universe that can harm you. What you are witness to is your own dream. When you go to sleep at night and you dream, if you have a scary dream, you say, oh, I was so afraid. But then you wake up and you realize the dream can't hurt you. Nothing in the dream can hurt you. The sharpest sword, the scariest monster, nothing can actually hurt you. It can hurt you in the dream, but it can't hurt you. just hurts the dream character. But you have a creative power through your intention. Start to exercise it consciously so that the dream also can be beautiful, so that the dream can also be pleasing, so that the dream can be an expression of your true intention. Let's not let the dream, let's not discard the dream as totally unimportant. Let's not check out. Let's tune in. Let's tune into a frequency that is authentic, pleasing, a true expression from our heart. Let's recognize first and foremost who we really are, and then let's recognize that this dream can be beautiful. We don't need it to be beautiful because the beauty is radiating from this pure consciousness. We're already fulfilled. But anchored in this, we can have courage and begin to move into our creation so that we can shape it in ways that are pleasing to us, and we can prune it. So where we discover habits, reactions that are not pleasing, not in alignment with what we wish to express, then we can prune them, cease to indulge them, cease to feed them. If you don't like the universe that you're living in, stop creating it. Stop feeding the fear. Stop feeding the anxiety. Stop feeding the frustration. Stop doing it. You have that power. You know that now. And the way to do that is to be gentle, to take care of yourself, to take care of your inner world, because that's how the outer world comes to be. So part of this commitment is stop being so concerned about everyone else. Just be interested in expressing within yourself this one truth that you know. Get clearer and clearer and clearer on what is true unconditional freedom, unconditional peace. It's an experience within. It's a recognition within. It's a state within. You have the ability to recognize it. You have the ability to remain true to it, so that when the reactivity arises, when the contraction, the impulse to contract, to defend, to fight, to worry, to fear, when those impulses arise, you recognize them at subtler and subtler levels, and you can let them go at subtler levels. And in their place, you can shine that light of pure awareness. And then you can begin to make conscious choices so that you can express clearly, without any impediment, that true heart desire. So let's begin to consciously transition to our waking state awareness, bringing this clarity into the waking state, into the dream, recognizing that truly I am this awareness. If your eyes have been closed, then take time so that you open them without disturbing anything, and see that when you do so, you can recognize that even as this visual field comes online and the habits of interpreting it as something out there surface, you can remain aware of yourself as awareness. You can remain aware of yourself as safe. You can remain aware of yourself as this power, grace, beauty. And as I open my eyes, I see that it is 1 minute to noon. So I'm going to end this momentarily, end the recording, and end the formal inquiry. But you take the time that you need to make the transition a smooth one. And remember to also take this gentleness with you throughout the day. Make that an intention. When you recognize this power within, when you recognize the clarity within, when you recognize the invincibility within, then gentleness is natural. There's no urgency. There's nothing that requires violence. There's nothing that requires that you forget yourself. There's nothing that requires that you hurt yourself for another. So gentleness is your nature. It doesn't have to look a particular way. You know it within yourself. Gentleness is not an external thing. It's an internal thing. Be gentle with yourself. And one more thing, take a moment to share these blessings that you discover within just through your presence. Consciously choose to bless those around you, to bless your home, just with your presence, with your intention, with your awareness. Nothing more is needed. Bless your neighborhood. Bless your country, all the people who work in the government in your country, so that they can also be touched by this and work for that greatest good. Bless this whole earth and all its inhabitants. Know your true abundant nature so thoroughly that you can effortlessly bless the whole universe so that all beings may be free, so that all beings may know peace. And then begin to see that. Know the power of the blessing and begin to see it in your life. Trust and know that it is happening. So when the cynical thoughts, the habits of seeing and thinking in a particular way arise, keep coming back to the blessing. Know that it is happening. Know that it is true and powerful. Know that whatever happens is already that truth. That blessing is already the truth. Peace is already the truth. Thank you for joining. I'll see you tomorrow.